We are live with Virtually Connecting, the final session from OER 17. Maybe, Christian, you can take the floor and introduce the people that are on site, and then we'll go to the virtual people.
I would actually like to the on-site guests to introduce themselves, if it's okay for you, because I might have pronunciation issues, and I think it's much better for you to introduce yourself. So
sure.
Should you talk about?
Hi, I'm Czerniewicz. I'm from Cape Town, and this was my first OER 17, and it was great.
I am Cronin, and I am a New Yorker, but I'm based at the National University of Ireland in Galway, in Ireland.
I'm Sukaina. I'm from the University of Cape Town, and this is my second OER. That's OER 15. It's great to be back.
Hi, I'm just going to pop in. I'm Kate Green, and this is my first OER as well, and I've had a lot of fun. But yeah, so let's just to the virtual people.
Thank you. And to the virtual people, why don't we start with Cheryl?
I'm Cheryl Hodgkinson-Williams from the University of Cape Town, and my colleagues are Laura and Sukaina.
Graham.
Is my mic working this time?
Yes.
Graham Steele from the University of Life in Glasgow, and a big fan of all things open.
And then Jenny and Simon.
Hi, I'm Jenny Heyman. I'm based in Canada, in Ontario. I'm about to start working for eCampus Ontario for David Porter. I'm very excited about that. And I am also a GoGN graduate working on my Ed D. Hi, Catherine. We had such a lovely time in Cape Town. It's nice to see you again. So yeah, that's my connections.
Hi, I'm Simon Ensor. I'm over in Clermont-Ferrand in France, where I teach English and help people learn English. And that's really what I do.
And I'll take the opportunity to introduce Dina from the University of Ghana. She's without a mic today, so we're hoping that she can join a virtually connecting session when she has a voice, but she's going to use the chat box to communicate with the group today. So why don't you give us some insights, just the aha moments, I know this is a kind of the wrap up of the whole conference, keynotes, takeaways, anything that you'd like to share.
Okay, I'll start. One thing, the theme, this was one of those rare conferences where the theme and what actually happened aligned. Because, you know, normally there's a theme and nobody knows what it was, and people just make their abstracts line up with the theme. This one was about the politics of open. The theme was the politics of open, and it was about the politics of open. And session after session talked about the politics of change, the politics of the countries that people are located in, open as resistance, open as forms of engagement. It was really, yeah. So if you're interested in politics and you're interested in the politics of open, you were in the right place.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just piggyback off that. Most definitely, I think, speaking for myself and from conversations I've had with other people working in open education, I don't think this is unique. We often have this split between the work that we are doing and then sometimes the issues that we are passionate about, or the concerns that we have about what's going on in our countries and in the world, and concerns around social justice. And the fact that those two things were really brought together at the conference, and that we were in the company for 2 days of people who are not only putting those things together in their consciousness, but doing work to unite those things, was really powerful. And one of the frustrations of the conference was that there were 6 wonderful strands. There were 6 parallel sessions. So even those of us who were here could only experience at most a 1/6 of the conference. And so I, for one, I'm going to be making use of the OER 17 website, and I would suggest that to anyone else who's interested in the theme, because most people are uploading their presentations there, and it's a great way to make connections, because I'll certainly be doing my homework by doing that.
So it's just adding first of all, agreeing with what Laura and Catherine said about the theme, and it was very, very clear. Most sessions could speak to some aspect of the theme. Just another thing that I was quite, maybe not surprised, but also quite delighted was I'd forgotten about Wikipedia as a thing. And it was so prevalent during this conference in terms of all the different ways that Wikipedia and Wikimedia and Wikidata and all of these things can be used for educational purposes. Seems so obvious, but and it's such a fabulous resource. So it's really prompted me to go back and look at it as a way of engaging students in what is a global networked project. All the things that we talk about that are great practices, could be open educational practices. So it's really inspired a bit of a spark in me to have another look at what Wikipedia could do. And I was also really, thinking about the Wikimedians in residence, and I was going to say to Laura, wouldn't it be nice to have a Wikimedian in residence at UCT? So yeah, that's something I'm really excited about going back and having a think about.
Wouldn't you like to be one?
Yes, absolutely. That would be such an amazing job. Just such the title itself, you know. Yeah.
I'm just wondering if any of the virtual participants was able to tune into any of the keynotes or any of the sessions, because quite a lot of it was live streamed.
Was it
my only session, so
They're all
the
really
only session
recorded.
that I'm in. So thank you very much.
I think following Catherine's advice, there's a lot of homework to be done. I was able to watch Maha's keynote yesterday, which is as far as I've gotten. Very busy week, which is, makes me sad, but that's the reason I'm not there. So I have to focus, as we have all talked about our PhD work, get it done.
Absolutely. But I mean, Jenny, you bring up a great point, and we'll all, I'm sure, have something to say about the keynotes. The keynotes were amazing and quite diverse at the conference. So Lucy Crumpton-Reed was talking about Wikimedia, the organization, and Wikipedia in a very global sense, highlighting the fact that there are so many articles in the English language, but there's work being done in I don't know how many countries. Does anybody remember?
Yeah, I think most of them.
So when we talk about the global South and the global North, I mean, I think the Wikimedia Foundation is one of those examples of people that are doing work truly globally and in very political.
Well, in one of the lightning talks, there someone introduced the Wikipedia content translation tool, and that's really great at extending knowledge.
Yeah,
because there've been real politics around Wikipedia being English language and the different languages and so on, but something like that makes it possible to do those translations is really important.
Yeah. And I was in the session with the Wikimedian from Sweden. I'm sorry that I can't remember her name. But she was talking about, doing work beyond the kind of global North, particularly. There's so much opportunity for people, so that we try and empower students when they're editing Wikipedia, but they truly feel empowered in places where there's, a very small body of work existing in Wikipedia in those languages. And then Maha Bali's, you mentioned her keynote, Jenny. It was wonderful, and I was thinking at the end of it that I needed to watch it again because it was very rich. She wove in a lot of, she had a political message, but she wove in a lot of personal stories and personal connections, talking about the notion of the gift, and sometimes our intention when we give a gift is not what is received, and I think around that. And then Diana Arce, or RC?
I think RC.
RC. Yeah. She gave an amazing keynote. She's an artist, an activist and an artist, and we literally had a meeting, our final plenary panel, after she spoke and said, we have to rethink the final plenary panel. And she was basically saying to all of us as a room full of open educators that if we are having trouble communicating our messages, bring in the creatives, figure out how to communicate in a different way. And everyone just kind of sat back and thought, yeah, perhaps we haven't done that. And there's so much scope there.
And at the same time, there was Brian Mathers in the audience and doing just that, right?
Yes,
he sat there and did his doodles and basically boiled down messages that we have, at least I have trouble pronouncing and putting out there in 3 sentences. He just draws one image and it's out there, and people get it and project meaning to that as well. And what stood out for me too was this cross-sectionality that you have in both, like, concepts of freedom, of openness, of participation, and that really you could really tell in especially, I think, Diana RC's keynote, that is something that we can all get better at too, in addressing certain groups and addressing their issues, basically, which is why I'm really looking forward to the OER 18 theme, and where it's more about the learners and the people who we're doing the work for, actually.
Just to add to that, what I found quite powerful about what Diana said was to go to where the people are. Take your art, and also that the art is not complete unless the audience has participated. And I think that's quite a powerful message for educators and for educators, is to be prepared to move across boundaries. Yes.
And if you're interested in what other people thought of the conference, we had this lovely Padlet. I've never Padlet or used a Padlet. Maybe you guys know about Padlets. Use them in books. Anyway, there is a Padlet that people contributed to in the final session. So it was, what did you learn at the conference? What was unexpected? I'm sure we can put the URL up in the chat. So you can see what other people had to say, very briefly, what their impressions were.
And I really got a sense that it was people powered. The politic is the people, and the community is the content, the open content. It was very interesting to watch those threads go through some of the tweets and the sessions that I was able to grab.
Yes, interesting. Felt like that.
And one of the things, I thought there would be more gnashing and wailing over Trump and Brexit, but people were not as depressed as I thought it would be, which is obviously quite a good thing for the conference, and the upbeat but realistic way. And so I don't know whether that's just because the whole thing is so dreadful that we don't want to engage with it as much as we should, or whether actually we just, there's the macro level where you can only do so much, and then there's actually quite a lot of power that we have in our own context if we choose to exercise with others. I think perhaps that, I just thought it was less depressing than I thought it might be.
Either that or maybe everyone was so cheerful to be with like-minded people.
Yes. For 2 days. Yes. And if anyone, I don't know, perhaps you've seen on Twitter, but in the final plenary panel, we asked people to tweet using the hashtags OER17 and I will. I've only seen some of those, but I found that really powerful because Maha's opening keynote was about intentionality, and we wanted to close with that note as well. So some of what people were saying was, very personal, some quite powerful. So yeah, I'm planning to make a storify of those probably this evening.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
That would be cool.
I just want to interject one of the things that I intended to do with my session, and it didn't line up, but it was really close, and I got a response to, was to invite Sully Breaks to come to, and I don't know if you know his work. He is one of the best, most articulate voices of the learner experience and the bad learner experience of formal higher education going. He's amazing. And another one of those is Emmanuel Jal, who is, he was a former child soldier in South Sudan. And he actually lives here in Toronto, and so I've met him and know him. And they're two amazingly strong voices in terms of the young population, particularly Emmanuel Jal, the young population in countries in Africa who need more education, but their access is being limited just by their sheer numbers, and the organization needed to start supporting that with and for them. So, knock on wood, for OER 18, that's my I will land Sully Breaks and some of his colleagues to talk about the student experience.
Nice,
fantastic,
very nice. Anyone who's virtually here want to ask or observe anything from the conference?
I'll leave it, maybe someone who hasn't had a chance to speak.
Ken, I think you had some impressions from the conference, didn't you? I see you walking around on your campus now, I think.
Trying to move to a quiet place, maybe.
Yeah.
No, I was in my classroom and the next class is going into session. What was the question, Christian? I just plugged my headphones in.
I know we were wondering if virtual folk have any questions or comments about OER 17 in general, or very specific topics that we might go into.
Unfortunately, the only keynote I was able to see was Maha. Times I was also getting up the hook virtual connecting up that day, and then this morning with Simon at 2 or 3 o'clock or whatever it was. So I haven't got a really good view, but I'm really, really happy that the OER 17 folks, well, I'm on the committee as well, that we put the streaming up because I get to watch all that later. I'm hoping to watch Catherine live. But I've got a weird view as a virtually connecting participant where my role was connecting others to the conference and playing kind of a host, but I haven't really had enough of an opportunity to connect into this conference this time.
And I don't know if all the virtual participants saw on Twitter or heard the news that Viv Rolfe and David Cronin are the co-chairs for OER 18. So everyone get your funding bids in now to come to OER.
That's amazing. Good news. And where is it going to be located?
It did not say that. I think that's still to be determined. Usually the co-chairs and the theme are announced first, and then everything else follows from that. So the theme is, I think, open for all, and they really want to foreground the learner, as Christian was saying. So
that's wonderful. Well, I was trying to show my students, I've been talking a lot about virtually connecting. We had my students here in Guadalajara connecting with students in Canada at MacEwan University with a project over the last few weeks. And we're going to do a bit of a write-up about that because it's kind of sort of virtually connecting, and we're interested in writing that up in the context of what we do with virtually connecting. So I was trying to show them what happened in the classroom there. Yeah, I have nice weather here in Guadalajara. I've got trees behind me.
It looks lovely.
I heard it's the same in London most of the time. I've been told.
How are we doing?
We need to wind up from our point of
You
view.
need to get going, right?
Yeah.
So any final thoughts, takeaways? What will you take back to Cape Town?
So Ken, what will you take back to Cape Town?
Lots of stickers. And lots of relationships that have been built on. Some of the feedback I've had on the presentations. I was involved in 2 presentations today. So we've had feedback and follow-up, and their networks continue, and it will be mainly virtual, I suppose, from Cape Town. And also some new contacts. So I think that's the other thing that always happens. You build and you build. So that's what I'll take back.
In fact, one of the things that was nice about this conference is there were so many people that I knew from Twitter who I met in person.
Yeah.
I mean, I was literally walking around looking at people's things and going, "Oh, you're so-and-so. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like I know you."
How's the cat?
Yeah. So that was really nice. And I realized
Related to that story, Laura Ritchie just posted on her blog her experience of being at OER, and that concept of presence of when you meet someone you know on Twitter, do you shake their hand? Do you hug them? I mean, we all have these relationships with people that we don't meet in person ever, or when we do, it's just, I'm going straight for the hug. So these concepts, these are real relationships we have, and as academics as well.
Yeah, and I don't want to embarrass Laura and Sukaina, but both of their presentations, you did multiple presentations, were some of the best work that I saw at the conference, and a lot of it is the work from Mora 4D and the work that the University of Cape Town is doing. So I suggest that people look at that. And what I've been doing, the program is so extensive that I've just been, it's also cross-referenced really well. So if you just search OER 17 and a person's name, what comes up is all of their presentations. You can link directly to them, get to the presentation. So the search works. You don't have to really dive in to the conference site and try and look for the person. So I suggest digging into that.
And also just to add on that, I think lots of workshops and presentations have been documented on their own as well. So lots of people build their own websites or their own spaces or blogs where they document what they have been speaking on. So I think that has even gotten better since last year from what I can tell. So you can really dig in deep if you want to and do your homework.
Yeah, good point.
So the learning will continue from OER 17, and it'll take us a year until we get to OER 18.
But yeah, and I've often felt that there's the way that the Open Ed conference and the OER conference are positioned in the calendar year is really interesting, because there's definitely a dialogue, issues that get raised, people kind of simmer and talk about and blog about, and then they're picked up at the next conference, and there's roughly 6 months between them. So I find that really interesting. I think although there's only a small overlap of people that go to both conferences, there's a lot of conversation that extends across both. So hopefully that'll happen as well.
So for all of us who didn't make it to OER 17, what's the sticker what's the collectible sticker? Where are you collecting your stickers? I gotta know.
Right?
We have stickers of ours. So actually the collectible sticker is the fact that Catherine is on the program with my name underneath her picture. So
identity crisis.
So, doppelganger. I don't know what you want to call it.
Hashtag proofread.
Yes.
So it's the novelty sticker that everyone's wanting to collect.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you taking time at the end of, like I said, 2-day marathon of open talking in the open. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to see you all.
And thanks, Christian, for being the buddy.
Thank you.
Cheerio.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you in Cape Town.
And we're welcome to stay and hang out a little bit longer, just to kind of pull some ideas, things that maybe they mentioned, or even a plan of how you're going to get to OER 18.
Well, I will be on the committee again, so I keep doing that. Eventually, I'll make it there.
You haven't been yet, Ken?
No. I went to Open Ed in, October, November. I hope to go to Open Ed. I was going to submit something for this year's Open Ed, but I actually didn't get it. But I hope to attend for sure. But yeah, hopping across the pond's a little more complicated.
Yeah, agreed.
It's great to see Dina again here again.
Yes, I'm hoping that we can get Dina a microphone so she can join in the conversation next time.
She's been with us all week. This is excellent.
Yeah.
I like to see new faces.
And it's nice to meet you too, Cheryl.
Yes, well, thank you. I was at OE Global, and we put in a paper for Open Ed, so hope we'll be invited. Since all of these conferences are really expensive for us because of our extensive travels, and our rand plummeting. So we have our own challenges, but it's lovely to have this opportunity to actually meet people who I have not met before. So thank you so much for that.
Okay, I'm going to sign off the broadcast, and